If you
You're not
blink,
kidding.
you missed it. S&P's up 3.7%. NASDAQ's up 5.3%. We had PPI and CPI. I tell you, I thought we would get a little, well, we got the volatility around PPI and CPI. It's a little bit different than I expected, I guess. And both of them worked out the same way. And all three of these days where we could say whether it's because of the event or whatever, but whether we had PPI, big market move up, CPI, big market move up. Yesterday, another big market move up on, I don't necessarily even know if it was the events. I mean, I'm not even sure about the retail sales yesterday. I think the market just looked for any excuse to move up. You got the dollar facing the fourth consecutive week in the red amidst all these talk of rate cuts. Bonds trading slightly higher this week, about a 30% chance of a 50 basis September rate cut at this point. What do you think about rate cuts? I mean, do you think we need them?
Do I think we need them?
Yeah.
I don't think we need them. I like rates. I like short-term rates at 5%. I think it's good for the market. I think it's good for the economy. I don't like
It's like the Goldilocks-ish number, right?
Yeah, yeah.
5 to 8%, something like
yeah.
that.
I don't like rates when they get down to 2, 3, 4%. I don't understand the whole thing. I don't like it.
You think money is too
Cash needs
easy
to be
to come
king,
by?
doesn't it?
I like when there's a return on risk-free, like when rates are like down to nothing. It kind of pisses me off. I don't really like it at all. I like 5%.
Like why though?
What? Because it means
why
to
do you say
me
that, though?
because it means to me that there's problems. Like there should be some growth. Like I think that 5%. The reason the stock market made a record high, or we're just under a record high right now, is because there's growth out there. I mean, this is I mean, and don't at me with emails, but this is probably the strongest economy as far as inflation is almost non-existent right now. There's huge job growth, and the stock market's at all-time highs. I mean, you're probably looking at the golden age. I mean, this is as good an economy as we've ever had, as long as I can remember, going back to the 70s. This is as strong as we've seen it. So like when people complain, oh my God, look at how bad the economy. No, it's not. I mean, we're basically at record unemployment and record low inflation and record high stock market. And so, enough with all the political rhetoric. It is what it is. And interest rates are in a perfect sweet spot. They're, that 4.5%, 5% range is perfect.
I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I mean, it seems like, the economy is fine. And so all this talk of rate cuts, I don't know. It's been,
I think people just reach and they search for things to either bitch about or make into political issues or something else. If you want to be objective about it and you want to just face the reality, we have never had a better, you'd be hard pressed to point out a different time in history when everything's been as strong as it is right now.
Yeah.
Period.
So Bitcoin's having trouble holding on to 60K, and then just to get to gold. I mean, gold, is interesting. I mean, have we ever had this type of economy with gold doing what it's doing right now? I mean, gold is all-time highs.
Yeah, but you know what,
I can't
Jamal? I mean, honestly, the amount of people that gold is an afterthought now. Gold was a primary player back in the day. Gold is an afterthought. Gold, silver, copper, I mean, more people talk about Bitcoin, they talk about gold. It's an afterthought right now. I don't.
How can it be an afterthought if it's at all-time highs?
Yeah, I know. People just don't. I mean, it's the amount of gold that trades every day is just not that
significant.
Huge.
I think is really what he's talking.
I mean, gold has
become. Those are less that are gold, traders and bugs.
People don't trade gold as much anymore as they just buy it. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, we're buying all assets, and I understand that because assets have had. When you look at this board right here and you look at Bitcoin, well, on S&Ps and Bitcoin, but you throw gold, silver, and other things like that, it has paid due to positive drift to be long assets, period. Every asset class has basically gone up.
Yeah, well, except for bonds, but I get your point. Point.
Okay, that's it.
Volatility has fallen dramatically. VIX is down to 1523. However, VVIX remains above 100. That's kind of interesting for now. We'll see if that fades, but that's kind of giving you an idea that maybe is the panic over it now. At least the market doesn't seem to believe so, with VVIX being up there. We'll see. Volatility over the last several weeks. Look where we were, man. Look where we were. This is each day since the beginning of the month. You see where August 5th was. Strong backwardation. There was at least $2 difference between the first 2 months. Hell, the first 2 months were above the election bump That's how crazy things got for a little bit. And it's all calmed down for the most part now. Now it looks like a normal curve. So things got really scary there for a little bit. What were you thinking on August 5th? What were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking that a week later or 2
I
weeks.
was thinking I was going to be staring at this picture a week later.
Yeah, I didn't think this was going to be a picture 2 weeks later. That's for sure.
Maybe a month and a half. I thought I was going to have more.
Funny you say that.
I thought I was going to have more time. It was just like life, you know, Jamal. I thought I was going to have more time. I didn't think I'd be sitting here in my 60s. You know what I mean, Jamal? I thought I'd be someplace else. I didn't think I'd be here
Where
again.
do you think you're going to be? A camper
I
somewhere?
don't know. I don't have that answer, man. I wish I did. I'd be there.
He didn't think he'd be sitting there with
You're
his
so
truck
lucky.
garage on
Say
Friday.
you didn't think you'd be here. Where did you think you're going to be?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're going to be dead or in a camper somewhere. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't buy your.
He
whole
thought he'd
thing.
still be in the pit. He thought he'd still be in the pit.
That's right, I
what he
did. I
thought.
always thought there would be a Battista on the floor of the CBOE when I bought my seat in 1987.
Did you really think you thought that, right? You
100%.
thought that, right?
In
That makes
1987.
sense.
I
I
think
mean,
you thought you were
get
going to be
it.
fishing off a pier in Florida, but the reality is, you ain't going.
I'm fishing right here with you. That's right, Jamal. I didn't think I'd be here, man. I reevaluate.
You didn't go
Let's
nowhere.
move to the next slide.
I have gone nowhere. I've done nothing.
In Sheepshead Bay, throwing your thing off a bridge.
Oh, man, I'd love to have some good
Sheepshead Bay.
Scungili and Sheepshead Bay. Hey, Randazzo, he just passed. Rest in peace, my man. Just passed. Patriarch. Yep.
The family will run the place, I'm sure, very effectively.
They will, I'm sure, if they haven't already been doing it. Yeah. But he just
Let's
passed.
move to
Oh,
the next slide. You know, Nikki would have fared fine on the floor, by the way. I think he would have.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think Nikki would have too.
I know a lot of floor dudes. I think he would have
Yeah.
been just fine.
I think Nikki would have
He'd
been
fit in.
fine. I don't know about
Yeah,
Mikey.
he would fit in.
I don't know about Mike.
Mike doesn't have the
Mikey
pedigree.
would have been the dude that was on the floor for a little bit before he would have been like, you know, I'm going upstairs. He would have definitely been a peak six type of dude. He would have
Yeah,
fit in well.
yeah, I agree with
for
you.
sure.
I agree with you. Nikki
Tell you
would have
that right
been
now.
Nikki would have been a pit rat.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
About it. He was
No
bred
question.
for that. He was bred for that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was my.
Um,
That's what I was thinking when I was doing it. To be honest with you, read this one to be a pit rat. That's what I was hoping. Give me a pit rat.
Again, if you blink, you miss it. Like you said, Tone, it was you thought you had more time. This is a chart showing. So typically, when the VIX rises above 35, a friend of mine shared this with me yesterday, and a good buddy of mine, and it makes sense. Typically, when the VIX rises above 35, it takes an average of 170 trading sessions to return to 17, this median of 17.6. These are other regimes. So obviously 7 days for us more recently, fastest we've seen. Other times on here, I mean, you got March 7th of 2022, which is essentially when we started raising rates. You got 2020 on here. You got the other previous fastest time was the Volmageddon. 13 days before it went to 35 and then returned like 17 and change. All these other dates on here, I mean, are recognizable. You got the Chinese devaluation of the yuan in 2015. You got August of 2011. You got the flash crash of 2010. That was a hell of a day, man. Golly, man, that day was crazy. I was on trading desk that day. I will never forget that day. Holy cow. Neil, I know, I told you this before. I watched Neil make $1 million on Apple. That was crazy. Again, this is firm trading people, not what we do, but that was wild. So yeah, all of these days on here are recognizable and very fast mean reversion we saw here in VIX. Very fast, record fast.
Record. Agreed. I don't know what else you could say about it, right? I mean,
Agreed.
yeah.
Let's move to the next slide.
You got it right.
So the one thing though, we got this huge move to the downside. We got this big move in vol. Skew has changed a little bit. We'll see what happens today. But I mean, obviously when you have the last 3 days, like we had big moves up, it's going to leave a mark. And for the time being, upside is a little bit big. This is call vol versus put vol up top. You can see in the green, call vol is still a little bit big compared to put vol. And then overall, when you just look at the S&P 500 price at the bottom moving up in the green, you can see the put call skew has dropped way down. So there's a little bit of upside bid right now if you're looking for anything. But I got to give Josh credit. He posed a question yesterday. We were talking about like market moves and the way things have happened. If you had no trades on and you had, a war chest full of money, what trades would you put on right now?
That was a question Tom actually gave Josh. Tom actually asked that question. You liked it?
I have never heard you give Tom credit. Wow.
No, I definitely did not have anything to do with that.
It's a good question, though.
Yeah. What do you mean? What would I put on right now? I think,
Yeah, what trades would you put on?
Answer
I think
the
there's people
question
like
in
that, right?
hindsight.
Like if you blink, I'm just saying, no, I don't mean in hindsight. No, I don't mean that. I mean right now. Like if you missed this.
I understand. If I had been able to wait till right now, I mean, if I had been able to wait till yesterday, I would have gotten short because I got very bearish yesterday.
So that's it.
And not because we're down 19 ticks in the.
Yeah, not because we're down.
I mean, that's a nothing.
No, right? No.
For what we've got here, we both talked a little bit about. I mean, 6 days up in a row. I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting a little bit lower going into Friday, but not a big move going into this weekend after the move that we've had all week long. So it would be a tough. It'd be a tough question to answer. I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. I mean,
Yep.
and I mean, besides the fact of getting short, like what option trades would you put on right now? Would you go and put some iron condors in some tech names? You know, that's what I mean. Like it's
I mean, I would probably have something very similar. I mean, like I'm long Russell, short S&Ps. I like that trade. I would be short plenty of premium here. Just we're not premium's not oversold. I know vols come down, but I would be short delta, short premium. Same as I have on.
Okay. Move to the next slide. I pose it because it's a hard question for me to answer. I mean, I don't
understand.
I've seen a couple of ETFs that I like that vol is a little bit bid, but it's a little hard to determine what way I want to go. You know what I mean? This is what I love to look at, vol risk premium. I'm only showing this to show that historical vol is still a little bit bid, if you will, because we've had some big moves. So this is the difference of VIX and historical vol, 30-day historical vol versus VIX. So forward-looking vol minus historical vol, 30-day historical vol. And usually we like to see this thing when it's above 5, 6, 7 to 10. Obviously it got up there, but now this thing is negative because historical vol is high and VIX has come in so much. Let's move to the next slide. So recession, is this something we're going to have to think about? Most of the time we've seen a recession start, it's when the 10 and the 2 curve comes out of inversion. We've seen this in 89. We saw this in 2000. We saw it in 07. You know, it didn't quite happen in 2020. Is it something that we're worried about here? Is it something that's going to happen sooner or later? 10 and 2s come out of inversion. All of a sudden, bam, recession hits. Like you said, we're in a great economy now. Does it flip? Does everything change? Who knows? So I know it's something people are looking at, but we're still amidst the longest inversion we've had. 700, and I think this is really, at this point, this is a couple of days old, but this is probably like 760-something days.
That's wild.
It is wild. It is wild.
I wish I.
Let's move to the. I wish I did too. So Starbucks rallied 26% this week. Chipotle's former CEO has taken over the job. I thought this is interesting. Mars basically took out a loan to buy Kellanova for $36 billion. That's an interesting buyout to me. These guys don't typically do that. I'm still trying to figure out what I think about it, what they're thinking. But I thought that takeout was very interesting. Huge number on the takeout, obviously. And going after a name like that at this time in the economy, just keep an eye on it. Apple's reportedly working on some tabletop robot, combines an iPad-like display with a robotic limb. It's kind of weird. They're searching for revenue at this point. I don't even know what this thing is supposed to be, but if you want innovation, I guess they're doing it again. So we got FOMC minutes on Wednesday. Jackson Hole, if you care about that, starts on Wednesday as well, but kind of a light week overall. When you're talking about this is like late August, light week, no earnings really. That's where we are for next week. And research, August 12th, market measure, an analysis of VIX trading above 38%. Take a look at that one.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate your time. I'm going to have to let you go. We're going to take a quick 90-second break so we can catch the opening bell right after this. Be back in 90 seconds.